This is a Gatoroid. A Gatoroid is one of the many species you can roleplay as in my upcoming Florida Man RPG. The pre-launch GoFundMe is still up. We're in the home stretch, folks. A couple of more weeks, we're going to be launching this Kickstarter. But if you want to get in on the ground floor, you can go to the GoFundMe pre-launch and donate to them. You do that, you'll get your name printed on a special thank you page in the book. Plus, you'll get access to the Discord, which will give you a chance to provide feedback or suggestions. I mean, look at that guy. Can't get much cooler than that. If you're watching this on TikTok or Instagram, the link is in my bio. Otherwise, it's in the description. Thank you to all who have contributed and will contribute. Let's make this thing happen. Hey, you know what this is? This is...
And we're back. Welcome in, everybody. This is the 33rd episode of Rogue Bard Advice, a D&D TTRPG nerdcast where I... the Pirate Archaeologist, Pirate Chris, the Captain Bones McCoy, however you may know me, try to answer your questions in the best of my ability, so long as it's on topic. Tonight I'd like to welcome in everybody. Welcome in Jim, Ruby, Indie Kitty, nice to see you, Spezia, Yokai, Ron, Kirk, Pirate Wife, welcome in, welcome in. Oh, it's been one of those weeks. Hello, Bacon. On topic-ish. Yes, because sometimes people ask questions that are archaeology related, not D&D tabletop. Sometimes they ask questions about me. So, yeah, on topic-ish. Welcome in, everybody. Also, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you like the content, and share this post out to everybody. We need to get more followers, people. We need to get more questions. Tonight we have an assortment of questions, and I have two small discussions. And, yeah. And I hope everybody who is in here has already joined the Discord. If you join the Discord, you get behind the scenes, back to back, and special stuff that only the Discord people get, like the voting in the poll. So yeah, join the Discord. Somebody pop a link to the Discord in there. Probably Jim. Let's get started tonight, everybody. Question 1 comes from our good friend Kirk. And he asks, why aren't there pirates in the Tron movie franchise? I mean, it totally fits the technology underworld mythos, and besides, it would be so cool for there to be techno-pirates sailing the digital seas on the Tron world. I know this isn't much of a question. I just want to vent my outrage about this failure of the movie world. Thank you for your attention. Well, Kirk, I am glad you asked me this question. I haven't seen the new... We're going to go big screen for this. I haven't seen the new Tron movie yet, but I do have an answer for you. Or I thought I had an answer for you written up. I did have an answer for you. Hold on a minute. Let me find it again. Nope. There it is. Why haven't pirates appeared in Tron? The grid is built on strict order and hierarchy rather than the open anarchic frontier you'd expect for pirates. Programs have assigned roles, security games system, and every byte of code is tracked by the master control program or CLU. There's no unclaimed sea for freebooters to plunder. The digital landscape is thoroughly mapped and policed. That is the short answer. Short answer is they're not allowed. It's a computer program, kind of like the Matrix, where everything is centralized. Everybody has a job, everybody has a role. I mean, the original Tron was a guy got sucked into a computer program, into a computer. So, I mean, I guess you could have outside influences, outside individuals coming in and pirating pirating the code or anything and doing stuff like that. But it's heavily policed. We got those things that fly around the digital skies and destroy things. So, what's going on in chat? There is Extended Universe Comics. Oh, so I didn't know about the Extended Universe Comics on Tron. Bacon posted a link. Thanks you, Bacon. Yeah, Jim is having a problem getting a link. That's fine. Spezia, it actively right now exists in the Extended Universe comics, so that's Pirates right now exist in Tron in the Extended Comics, similar to how first movie Neo Matrix operated, so do Pirates of Tron. Cool, that's a good answer. But it still doesn't bode to the fact that Kirk hasn't seen them in the movies yet. So maybe in the future Kirk will get pirates in the Tron universe. Let's hope. I'm hopeful that you got a good answer out of that. And I'm glad that you wrote that question in. It was a good question. Great question, actually. Moving right along, we are going to question 2. And question 2 it's our first discussion. We're discussing ability scores. Haha. We are discussing the evolution of the ability scores. As you all know, I started this with the BAB, the evolution of BAB, and the evolution of whatever the last one we talked about. So now we're going into the evolution of the ability scores. How did ability scores change from OD&D all the way up to 5e? Well, in OD&D, characters rolled 6 ability scores: your strength, your dex, your con, your intelligence, your wisdom, and your charisma, using 3d6 in that order. All 6 rolls, you rolled for strength first, dex next, constitution next, but you only used 3d6. There was no formal modifier table, and the DMs assigned the bonuses or penalties narratively. Feats, skills, or proficiencies did not exist, and class and race granted all special abilities. So if you were a dwarf, you got the dark vision. If you were an elf, you got things. I don't know. I didn't play OD&D, so I don't know. And THAC0. Yes, THAC0. That's right. THAC0, then BAB. In AD&D, the first edition, OD&D was 1974. AD&D, the first edition, was 78 to 79. It standardized the modifiers. The ability scores kept the 3d6 in order method, but added a lookup table translating each score into numeric modifiers. Your plus ones, your plus twos, your plus threes, your negative ones, your negative twos, so forth. Anything less than 10 got a negative modifier score. Anything higher than a 10 got a plus modifier for each. Like an 11 got a plus 1, 12 got a plus 1, 13 got a plus 2, 14 got a plus 2, and so forth. 10 got 0. Strength was tied to your hit and damage. Your dex adjusted your armor class, your AC. Your constitution influenced your hit points and saves. Still no feats or skills in AD&D first edition. Class features and race defined all special abilities. AD&D second edition, 1989. 1989 is when second edition started. So I played second edition when I was first starting out. Then I transitioned to the third edition. Then I transitioned to 3.5, and 3.5 is where we stop. But in second edition, proficiencies emerge. AD&D Second E introduced weapons and non-weapon proficiencies as an optimal system, or optional system, not optimal. These gave characters limited skills, tracking, herbalism, but remained coarse-grained compared to later feats. Ability modifiers and score generations stayed largely the same, with optional point buy emerging in splat books. That's your splat books are your additional books, your extra books, the stuff that we talked about, the spellcasters books and everything else. Kirk says, if you roll poorly, it was common to have your character make bad choices in order to die early and get a chance to roll up a new or hopefully better character. Exactly, yeah. Fully convinced that 8 whiz int is the same as 20 whiz ints, just a confidence, LOL. It could be. Yeah, it could be. Like tripping and falling off a cliff. Yes, yes, yes. Make your character trip and fall off a cliff. It's to third edition when feats are finally born. Third E, or 3E, customization by formally introducing feats, fully customized. Characters gained 1 feat at first level and another every 3 levels after that. Feats spanned combat maneuvers, meta magic, skill boosts, and more. First feat you should always take, if you're playing 3 or 3.5, the first feat you should always take is toughness, because toughness automatically adds 3 hit points to your character. So if you're a squishy already, you get an automatic 3 hit points with toughness. And toughness stacks. So you could take toughness your at third level when you get your third feat, or fourth level when you get your fourth feat. Then you can take another feat. Then you can take another feat of toughness. I mean, toughness stacks. Ability scores used the 4d6 drop the lowest method or point buy system. Modifiers now central to every roll. 4d6, roll 4d6, drop the lowest number. I like that. That is for average base characters. You roll 3d6 anyway. You're adding a 4d6, and you're dropping your lowest score to give you a better balanced mix of mid-tier characters. Now, you also have the option in my homebrew. I also have a 5d6 drop the lowest 2. Those are for Gestalt characters that I'm building up, or high level combat, or high level campaigns that we're starting at level 1, but I want the characters to be strong at first level. So sometimes I'll institute a 5d6 drop the lowest 2. In 3.5, 2003, streamlining and expansion, 3.5 refined 3E's framework. You now had prerequisites and feat chains that were clarified. IG, combat experience to improve disarm. You had to take combat experience in order to take improved disarm as your second feat. More combat and meta magic feats were added, filling niche roles. Meta magic feats like quicken spell, silent spell, which allowed you to do spells without verbal components. There's a lot of them. Kirk prefers point buy largely because even with 4d6, he rolls poorly. Well, don't roll poorly. Now, see, here's the thing. Why couldn't somebody institute or fix or do this and get rid of the d6 die? Because at a d6, your max that you could get would be 18 points, right? That's max on the D6. So if 18 is the max you can get on a D6, why not roll a D20, and 19 and 20 on the D20 is an automatic 18? And let's say for smiles and grins, anything less than a 10, you re-roll the 20. Well, let's say anything less than an 8. Less than an 8. Spell penetration, greater spell penetration, those are instant picks for me with any spellcaster. Yes. Yes. But also for spellcasters in particular, toughness and improved initiative. Because improved initiative adds +2 to your initiative roll. Or +1. It adds something to your initiative roll. You could roll a 1 or 2 not possible on 3d6 plus bell curve statistics on a 3d6 results in more likely middle results. Okay. So roll a d12. I mean, I like the 3d6. I like 4d6. Drop the lowest one. But if you don't have a d6 and you only have a d12 or a d20 or 2 d10s, I mean, you could go. So you could. It could work. It could work. Trust me. But then you also had the skill and ability score progressions were tweaked for balance. And optional feat variants, teamwork feats, monster feats, they appeared in all of the additional splat books. When we got to the 5th edition model in 2014, this isn't even the 2024 5e and a half, whatever it is, or D&D 1. 5e inverted the model. Feats are an optional rule, not a core feature. At designated levels, characters choose between an ability score improvement or a feat. In 3.5, at certain levels, you got an automatic ability score improvement, and you could choose which ability score you wanted to modify. And that was through a couple of the levels. So I think it's like at level 5, you get your first ability score. Level 8 or 9, you get your second ability score, and something like that. So roll 3 d20s, take the best of 3. You could do that, or average. Yeah, absolutely. Feats are broader in scope with 5e, but fewer in number. They're designed to be balanced against a +2 ASI, which I guess your ASI is your ability score improvement modifier. And then ability modifiers remain fundamental, but skills return to proficiency bonuses rather than point buy. We'll get to the skills next because we're doing ability scores now and then skills, and skills is the last one. We'll do feats next. But yeah, so by the time this series ends, you guys should be well versed in how to build a character from scratch on a character sheet in 3, in 3.5, in 5e, or even in 2 if you want to homebrew a THACO game. So, good evening, Kevin. Welcome in. You're not late. If you're here, you're not late. And if you're a wizard, wizards are never late. They always arrive just when they mean to. So, I hope that explanation on abilities helps everybody when they're designing their characters. So, moving on, our next question comes from... Nope. Our next thing is feats, because I got the next question late. So we'll go feats next. Let's talk about the feats. I guess we just talked about the feats. Let's go to my next one on the list. Nope, we talked about that already. I guess I did not do one for the feats, but with feats, we know there are plenty of feats out there. Hairy feats, yeah, only if you're a hobbit or a halfling in D&D, because as we know, D&D can't use the term hobbit because that's a copyrighted term in perpetuity, forever. Jumping into feats head first. Yep. That's what OF is for. Hairy feats, Jesus. Only feats? Only feats? I like it. I like it. Oh. So, in the chat, what's one of your guys' favorite feats? What is the first feat? For those who played 3.5, what is the number one feat that you always take no matter what character you build? The primary feat. We all know mine. I take toughness. Toughness is straight off the bat. Great weapon mastery. Does that have a prerequisite to it, though? Had a cleric who took improved grapple and shocked the other players when he first used it. Nice. Improved grapple? Yeah, I like that. And that's something that we all have. That's all something that characters all have. All characters have a grapple. But when in the game has anybody, well, obviously Kirk's used it, but when in the game has anybody else used a grapple? I know I've never used grapple, but the grapple score is there just in case. What are people's thoughts on considering feats an optional role that you make your players beg for and who hurt you as a child? Yeah. I like that, Kevin. I like that. Could you be a halting turtle character if you would their feet be hairy? Or a half. I'm assuming you meant halfling. Could you be a halfling turtle character, and if so, would their feet be hairy? It could be. I mean, if you're working a turtle, then we know there's a family of turtles out there who are nothing but cobblers. So they got to have shoes for their feet. So their feet could be hairy. Who knows? Or just off base, rip, cleric, martial weapon, add that extra oomph. Yeah. I like a martial weapon proficiency. There's also another one that I take if I can, because I like playing characters who may have exotic weapons. So I take exotic weapon proficiency also, because most of my characters are light weapon or martial weapon proficient already based on their class. But I like things like shurikens or kukris or other things. Those are all not simple weapons. Those are all considered exotics, even though they are simple weapons. They're simply made, but they're exotic. So you need the exotic weapon proficiency, or else you take the negative, negatives. Let me close this out because I'm getting. No, I want it ended, not just there. I'm getting notifications for email. So, Kevin's used grappling, but usually only with characters designed for it. He had a girl that used yo-yos for grappling. That's an interesting weapon. But see, using a yo-yo, that would be considered an exotic weapon because it's not a typical weapon. So that would call into play the exotic weapon feat. We have characters grapple by large creatures quite often, usually by getting bit. But is your character grappling or is your character being grappled? Because if you have large characters, like maybe a bugbear or something that reaches around and grabs your character, kind of half Nelson style, you're not doing anything but being squished to death. So, I like where you're going with that, Yokai. It's quite interesting. Kirk does improve disarm. Giants were messing with us with pole arms, so his dwarven monks started ripping their pole arms away. Okay, I like improved disarm. I like it. I like it for a tank. I like it for up close and personal people. I like it. Super hot take. Battle cleric should be exotic spec. Also with hill drawn resilience. Take medium armor proficiency. Yeah. I have my rogues eventually take medium armor proficient. I have my wizards, even though wizards can't wear it, I have my wizards take leather armor proficiency or light armor proficiency. Because with the proficiency, it knocks away the negatives that it would be for wearing armor while casting spells. Because now you're proficient in wearing the armor, you're getting that bonus to your proficiency. You can take that bonus and you can add it to your spell and get rid of the negative that the wearing the armor would cause. I like the idea of a player or DM designing a feat that the character only gets by earning it through experience, creativity, or actual feats of strength or courage. So essentially, customer feats. That's interesting. Or custom feats. Interesting. And Yokai answered, honestly, depends on the character for the grappling. They have some crazies. Yeah. Had a character in Over the Edge whose primary weapon was lawn darts. Were they the plastic tipped or were they the good 1970s, 1980s lawn darts that were not meant for children? Spezia is a forever DM. There's a large section of the map that is a dwarf empire, phalanx dwarfs. Tell me that wouldn't be world conquering. It would be, yeah. Depending on the other enemies. So let's see. I like toughness. I take toughness and improved initiative because most of the characters that I draw up get an initial feat plus a bonus feat. So you get 2 feats starting out at level 1. And that's in the rulebook. So toughness and improved initiative. That way, whatever you roll, you know you're adding your +2 or +3. I think it's +3. To whatever initiative score you get. So maybe you get to go first. There are players and DMs and games out there that have started to go with the group initiative, which I like because then the whole group gets a turn at the same time and you're all doing your actions at the same time so you can react better to what's happening to other characters. Yokai, get some sleep. I know you have to be up early in the morning. Have fun. I don't know what you're doing, but if it's one of the marathons, good luck. Kirk loves weapon finesse as he loves dex fighters. Lawn darts is how you got real good at playing horseshoes and cornhole, according to the people of my generation up here. Ruby, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, said Ron said they're the not meant for children lawn darts. Yeah. Yeah. Those weren't good. The steel tip lawn darts, I had a set. It wasn't my set, it was my parents' set, but I had a set. And then Kmart made the cheap knockoff ones that had the slider, or that had the sliding fins, the plastic sliding fins. It was still metal, but it had the plastic sliding fins. Yeah, lawn darts. Jesus. All right, moving on, moving right along. I hope that helps get the ability scores and the feats out of the way for character creation and everything. So you can build that top of the line 3.5 or 5e character, because nobody plays 2e anymore. But our next question comes from... No, our next question is skills. That shouldn't be there. That should be... No, I guess it is. I thought I was going to split these up, but I guess I didn't. Let's go to skills then. See what happens when I don't practice this. But we're not having any technical difficulties. We're not freezing. We're not loading. We're not buffering. The microphone was on when we started. So I'm chalking this up to a win. All right, let's go. The evolution of skills from OD&D to 5e. In the original D&D, there were no formal skills. Any combat task was handled as an ability check or pure role-playing. The referee adjudicated on the spot, often rolling an ability score plus a situational modifier. That's interesting, and that's from 1974. That's well interesting. When they created AD&D First Edition, 78-79, the skills still didn't exist as core rules. But Unearthed Arcana, which was introduced in 1985, introduced the optional non-weapon proficiencies. These proficiencies let characters train in areas like herbalism, navigation, or local customs. They remained a house rule style add-on rather than a standardized system. So they were doing homebrews well before any of us were doing homebrews. 78, 79. I mean, there were modules, and then in 85, with Unearthed Arcana, led to more homebrews. When AD&D Second Edition was introduced in 1989, it formalized the proficiencies into two categories: weapon and non-weapon. Non-weapon proficiencies covered broad talents, crafts, performance, survival tasks, which you gained at class per race level, or class or race level. Characters picked a limited number of slots, making choices matter for role-playing and problem-solving. Like as a rogue, you might want to use rope, or disable device, or stealth, or sneak. But I think those were introduced in 3 and 3.5. I don't think those were set in Second Edition yet. I know Handle Animal wasn't. Third Edition in 2000 launched the full skill system tied to ability modifiers and skill points. So it's a point by system. You could only put like 2 points above the level of the character. So if you were level 1, you could put 3 points into a skill slot. If you were level 2, you could do 4 points into a skill slot into class level skills. The skills were tied to your class. They were no longer tied to your race. They were tied to your class. And then every other skill that wasn't a class skill was called a cross-class skill, and they cost 1/2 point per point buy. So if you had 26, let's just say you had 26 skill points that you could put in any amount of skills that you wanted, even it up, but you want to take a cross-class skill. So if you put a 1 there, you actually take 4 skill points for that and put your 1. Where a cross-class skill, you get 1 point, and it's 1 point. So you could put 4 points in there, and it'd be 4 points. So, let's see. Oh, Ron said, lawn darts, death from above. Yo-yos actually used to be used for hunting. They were different from the toys we use now, though. Interesting either way. Yeah. Bolos, too. Bolos, I think bolos were similar to yo-yos because they're a string weapon. Ruby was given a set of lawn darts as a charity Christmas gift box. Nice. According to my 3.5 book, equipment will be after skills. Maybe. Maybe not. We don't know yet. 6 or 7. Ruby was 6. Sisters were 7 and 8 when they got their Christmas charity gift box. Nice. Don't say that this early. The gremlins will hear you. Well, let's hope not, Bacon. Everything's going well so far. Rules suggesting having a session 0. Yes. Session 0 is usually designed to build your characters so that you and the DM could discuss things about your character, and the DM can have a one-on-one with the players to discuss where they want their character to go, how they want their character to roleplay, this and that. And that's not the DM telling the player how to roleplay their character. It's the player character telling the DM how they want to play their character. To give the DM time to make adjustments or do stuff or build things into the campaign that is character driven or that is for a specific character. So I like session 0s, though I probably end up having like 3 session 0s before we even get to session 1. Because the groups that I play with are 4 to 6 people, and there's just not enough time unless you take like a 6-hour or an 8-hour day and just build your characters, and that's your session 0. Most of my session 1s last 4 to 5 hours. I don't know. Pirate Wife would know the last time we played how long we went to play, because she went to bed. We were still playing, but she goes to bed early. So, pirates eat gremlins for dinner. Yes, I do. DM in my 70s game was homebrewing original D&D. He made up to hit charts, etc. Nice. Weaponized clackers. Yes, I like that idea, Ron. I like it. You said cross-class for both. Did you mean main on class for 1 point per 1 point of level skill? Yes, Kevin. Yes. So for cross-class skills, it's 4 points equals 1 point in the skill. For main skills, it's 1 point equals 1 point. I don't recall the term session 0 until very recently. Yeah, session 0 is a recent term. Usually, Kirk, as you would probably recall, it would just be, let's get together and build characters, and the next week we'll start. So, as a forever DM, it is my setting. It is the player's story. Yes. But as a forever DM or as a regular DM, if you have characters that want to do things, you can build things into your campaign, while it's your setting, you can build things into it that help them or hurt them as monsters, maybe, but mainly things that are character driven or character designed, not character designed as in the character designed it, but character designed as in kind of like it, let's say kind of like in Baldur's Gate, where you have to have, like Asterion, for example. You have to have Asterion as a companion in order to do some speeches or some words, having some words with Raphael. Same thing in your homebrew. Exactly, hit the nail right on the head, good soul. Story beats, but their story. Yes, exactly. So, skills like... So, back to the skills. Each level grants points to invest in dozens of skills. Ranks determine trained versus untrained checks. So, if you start out the game with 26 skill points, your next level, you get X amount of skills or skill points to add to or build on your skills or whatever. Skills like bluff, stealth, and perception became mechanically central, feeding every challenge roll. Yes, they were. And it's a pain. In 3.5 refined 3E's framework, like we said, but with rebalanced point buy tables and consolidated some redundant skills. Skill prerequisites and synergy bonuses were clarified to smooth advancement. Supplemental books, your splat books, added variant skill systems and teamwork feats, further specializing roles. This is where we get things like athletics, or your run, your jump, your swim, and more so in 5e. We'll discuss that. But you had run, jump, swim, handle animal. I have a paper around here somewhere. But you had a whole list of skills, and it's a lot. It's a lot. 5e, however, ditched the skill points for proficiency bonus model. Kevin tried to be accommodating like that and bent the rules of what existed in my setting, and the players did not appreciate it. I regret doing that. I wish they would have respected me and my setting more. That's always bad when players don't respect the DM's setting. So, yeah, I totally agree with you, Kevin. And why would that make you want to be their DM if they're not respecting the setting or the campaign that you're putting them in? So, there's a question to ask. And Ron says session 0 was usually one-on-one with the DM, not a group activity. Sometimes, and that's why I say we get together as a group, but then it's a one-on-one where the DM's giving the same amount of time with each person. So it is one-on-one, but it's everybody's together kind of thing. And nobody's listening to how you're building your other character. They're all building their characters and doing their own thing. So, but with 5e, each character chooses a handful of proficiencies drawn from 18 core skills. Proficiency bonus scales with the level. The higher the level, the higher your proficiency bonus is. Your backgrounds, your classes, and feats grant your expertises. Double your proficiency in select skills, streamlining character creation. I don't know how it streamlines it because I've not built a 5e character. Well, I have, but I used the D&D Beyond to help me build my character. And honestly, the D&D Beyond character builder If you don't know the system, it's wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful. Because it goes in steps. You start here, and then, okay, you finish here, go to the next step. Okay, and it explains how to do things. So D&D Beyond, while it is a Hasbro entity, and while we try and do things on our own, we still have that lingering OGL fiasco. D&D Beyond is a wonderful tool. 5e is simpler, not simple, but simpler. Exactly. It was streamlined to create mass amounts of characters in the shortest amount of time. That's all it was. Because they wanted to make money. They wanted to be able to have new characters come in and not feel like the game was gatekeeping. Because as we discussed with the Math Rocks and THACO and BAB, it was, if you didn't know basic math, it was kind of hard for people to get involved with this. So 5e is the best beginner edition. 3 to 3.5 the GOAT. 4, don't call it D&D. It would have been an amazing system. Or call it not D&D. It would have been made an amazing system, probably. AD&D, the crunchy system, that is so very good. And first edition, a story with dice experience. Speezy, I like that. That is an absolute wonderful breakdown of them all. That's why I play 3.5. I only play 3.5, and I'm playing a 5e campaign here pretty soon. So, but it's a homebrew campaign, and it's all going to be online, and I will send out the link so everybody can watch it. We're going to try and do it kind of like Critical Role or Roll20, and it's going to be 6 of us plus a DM, something like that. So, Kevin says he agrees 4 was a good game, just wasn't D&D. You know, I never even bought 4. I read about 4 and read what they were doing, and it just didn't appeal to me, so I didn't buy it. Ron taught himself basic programming language by creating a character sheet generator, random dice roller 2. Nice. I like that. You know, there was also a program for 3E. It wasn't for 3.5, it was for 3E. But I used it for 3.5 because 3E is 3.5. It's just 3.5 is just refined. But it was called DM Genie or Character Genie or Player Genie. Player Genie and DM Genie. Absolute wonderful program built in Excel. The DM Genie had random table generators for combat, random table generators for treasure, random table, and it's still active. You can still access the site. But yeah, it was wonderful. 3.5 refined, you mean bloated? You could say it was bloated. It was a lot. It was a lot, but it still refined aspects of 3 to better bloat the characters, I guess. What else? Ron's friends were all very introverted, so one-on-one was best because when they got together until they get into their characters, it was a bit weird, especially for numeric dyslexia people. Okay, I get that. And 5e is even simpler, or 2024, 2025 5e is even simpler. Seems very neutered too. Yes, but they've introduced new classes. Like they've brought back the psionics class that was introduced in 3.5. And then taken away in 4 and 5e. Yes, but if you so Kevin, sorry, right? 3 had issues, but just 3.5 overdid it in your opinion. So did Pathfinder. Yes, and I have been told that if I know 3.5 system, then Pathfinder is an easy system to learn, and it's transferable. Everything's transferable, which will not be the case for Florida Man, because Florida Man is its own TTRPG system. Like, Chaz is creating this system from scratch, maybe borrowing concepts from D&D, but Florida Man is its own entity. Pathfinder 1 is 3.75 essentially. Okay. I can understand that. But that's how skills came into play and evolved from OD&D to AD&D to D&D 5th edition. I hope that helps people better understand character creation when it comes to skills. Let's see here. What is next? Hey, look, it's Spezia's comment, finally. Hey, good soul, I am the forever DM of a party that has 10.4 years of real life time in the same setting across 270 years of history lore. That is a long campaign, Spezia. I am impressed. I just really wanted to say that's a long time for a group to be together and playing the same game without having any controversies. I'm assuming there's been no controversies or arguments between people or falling outs between friends. But I applaud you on that. 10.4 years of real life time in the same setting. That's amazing. But they are now warlords rebelling. How would you do a major military battlefield scale encounter? A time will come when it will be rebellion versus status quo army with respect to the reverence of the time and lore. Any notes you would add? Well, I did draw up something. Approaching large-scale military battles in tabletop RPGs. I treated a grand battlefield as 3 intertwined layers. The strategic big picture, the tactical zone control, and the somatic hero moments, or your role-playing hero moments, your narrative hero moments. Like, for instance, Critical Role and their first campaign, and Grog rolling 2 natural 20s on the dragon and 86 points of damage each time he rolled his crits, even with one not being raging and one being raging. And then Matt Mercer looking at him and dropping everything and say, okay, how do you want to do this? That's the narrative RPG that you're talking about, the cinematic hero moments. How your players describe what they're going to do to the character. With the goal being the momentum moving and avoid bogging down too much bookkeeping. So it's all narrative based. It's all role playing based. Abstracting the scale, you'd force groups into units or battalions instead of tackling individual soldiers. Each unit had a simple stat block: morale, strength, special traits. Resolve unit clashes with few dice rolls or single opposed check, so you can handle dozens of units in minutes. So instead of doing what I did, I had a large scale battlefield of kobolds. There was 100 of them, and the players that I was DMing for were one-on-one with kobolds until somebody just said fireball and cooked the kobolds. We were in a small room castle, and I say small. It was like 40 by 60, so it was pretty decently sized for a horde of 100 kobolds. It's been four. Spezia says thank you. It's been four campaigns. This is the fifth, but it's the same core players. You're the only guy. The four girls are the party. Oh, nice. Ruby, not likely will be preparing for your BFF. Okay. Hope you get a reprieve this weekend. This has been great, but I will need to rewatch to get it all. Today has been a rough, odd day. It'll be live as soon as we get done, Ruby. You can rewatch it and contact me into Discord if you want specific items, and I'll get them to you. Once DM'd a game with a high-level characters in a large battlefield, I told them that it was stupid to roll against minions, so whenever they moved, just imagine slaying across the battlefield. Grand cleave. Yep, grand cleave. Just cleave from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Yep. Ron prefers playing with girls. They smell better and take the game more seriously. You speak truth, Johnny. Spezia has a lot of Warhammer AOS models for army scale. I just don't think that's the right thing. You could, depending on what armies you're going after. Kurt, then we only rolled for the opposing high-level monster characters. Yeah, that's exactly. Just blow through the minions and just attack the big guys. You get like what? Make the minions a quarter CR rating, so that they're easy, so that they're more squishy than anything. And if you have 100 of them, guess what? At a quarter CR rating, that's only a challenge rating of 25. So, yeah. I would also structure your battlefield with like 3 different zones, or 3 to 6 zones. Maybe put in a river ford, a hilltop battery, an enemy camp. Assign each zone a status tracker: held by rebels, held by loyalists, contested, kind of thing. Winning or losing a zone shifts the strategic momentum, grants bonuses like flanking or extra reserves. Your party invades an enemy camp and doesn't kill everybody and talks like Davy Jones. Do you fear death? And if they say yes, then they're 100 years before the mast, and they're part of your crew now. So, I like that idea. And then you have a phased resolution system. 3-phase turn structure: command phase, resolution phase, the hero phase. Command phase, you players choose orders: reinforce, flank, hold. The resolution phase, you roll for zone control and unit morale checks. And then hero phase, spotlight each PC in short, high, dramatic narrations that can tip a zone's outcome. How they do it. Visual aids and tools. You can do a whiteboard or battle mat with colored markers that can track the zones. You could use tokens or miniatures to show front lines. A momentum clock, 10 pips split between sides. Let everyone see who's gaining the upper hand, who's losing. Digital tools like a virtual tabletop or shared Google Sheets work just as well for remote play. I have always wanted, since I've seen them for the last 8 to 10 years since I saw the first one made, I want a virtual tabletop. If you guys don't know, a virtual tabletop is a tabletop with a TV screen in it that is hooked up to your laptop, and it runs a program where your TV screen is your map, and it rolls. It continuously moves, kind of like a side-scrolling video game, and your players are in one location on a plexiglass sheet or a glass sheet or whatnot, and as the map moves, it looks like your players are moving. So I like those. I like virtual tabletops. Virtual tabletops accentuate the features that we used to build. Like I would take Expandifoam and put it in trash bags, fill it up, and then carve like mountains or carve like wooded area or even castles out of it. But yeah, virtual tabletops. The minions were effectively just terrain. I like that. Last Christmas, you got your Core 4 a vellum map of the world. That's good too. I print out. I need to get a better map, but I print out a large scale map of Faerun, the Sword Coast in particular. That way I can, and it's huge. It's huge. It prints out on like 12 different 8x10 or 8x11 sheets of paper, and then I go and I tape it. I fold the whites over and I tape it together, and it's huge. Then I roll it up and I give it to the characters like it's an actual map. So it's great. It's a prop, but you can use it for battle strategy also. But yeah, I like that vellum map. I really do like that. Tech level pike and shot, but woe level fantasy. You're going to have to explain that one, Spezia. Kevin likes this explanation. Will you post this somewhere later? The visual aids and tools, or not? Or my whole explanation on the battlefield? I can post this all. Yeah, I can post it to the Discord. A friend set up a virtual tabletop we used for a while. It was for the map, we set our minis, yes, painted physically on the screen. I like that. I like that too. A lot of the times it is, the screen is level with the table. There are some tabletops where people don't want to get their screens scratched up with all the miniatures that they're going to be putting on there and everything else. So they put a layer of plexiglass or glass above it so that it's right there. But it's, excuse me, I have stuff going in my nose. So that it's off the screen, but still on the screen at the same time. But those would be what I would add. With respect to the time and lore, I don't know what else you could add. It's your campaign, bro. My advice is keep it simple. But if it's a large battlefield, how simple can you make it? Yes, we all wish Ruby's friends well. They're going through a lot. Ruby's going through a lot. Puffy Cheeto's going through a lot. We haven't mentioned Puffy Cheeto this week. But last I talked to her, she is doing well. They have a GoFundMe account opened up because of everything that has befallen them in the past couple weeks. Her mother passing away, and then the next week her dad's house gets driven into by the neighbor. So they have set up a GoFundMe account. I think she posted it in the Discord. Just to help cover some bills that they're gonna that they know they're gonna come up with, and just to get through the week, just get through this period of time that they're having problems. So yeah, if you guys could show support, if you guys want, it's in the Discord. Even if you just share the GoFundMe out to people, it's greatly appreciated. I will never ask you guys for money. I don't do this for the money. I've said this numerous times. While I would like this channel to get monetized at some point in time and maybe make something off of it, I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting to make anything off of it. I do this because we as a community came together to make something great with Bard Advice, and when it ended, we wanted this to continue because this is an outlet for people to come every Friday and just, well, every Friday that I am able to do this, and just decompress from the week and have some fun. Because this is all fun. Kirk's virtual tabletop was literally an LCD displayed, laid on its back on the table. But hey, it worked. Rolling dice on it was forbidden. Yes, and that too. If you had a piece of glass or a piece of plexiglass over the top of it and you sunk the TV into the table, you could roll the dice on it all day long. So Kirk says best wishes to Ruby and to Puffy and to anyone else dealing with what life is throwing their way. Hang in there, folks. Absolutely. Hang in there. And our final question for the evening, before we get into our deadly dungeon, and that, I don't know, more people have to vote in the poll because this week's absolutely insane. But our next question comes from Bacon, and it actually is in response to something that I said in the Discord. So, Bacon asks, where does the phrase burning a hole in your pocket come from? Well, Bacon, I actually had that up, and that's right here. The phrase, we're gonna go back to live. We're gonna go back to big screen. The phrase money is burning a hole in one's pocket, that's the actual phrase, describes an irresistible urge to spend money as soon as it's received, using the image of something too hot to keep hold of. Earliest attestations. Variants of the image, phrases like burning in one's pocket, appear in the 18th century, with examples recorded in the mid-1700s, and the more modern phrasing established by the 19th century. For example, an 1857 use in Anthony Trollope. I don't know what that is, but that's just the example that they pulled up. Why the image stuck. Explanations offered by writers and entomologists. Etymologists, not entomologists. Entomologists are bug people. Etymologists are language people. Include language or literal imagery. Coins or money imagined as hot. The long-standing figurative use of hot for something urgent or active, and the vivid metaphor of an object that must be gotten rid of at once rather than kept in a pocket. So when I ask you guys for any questions, any deep burning questions that are just sitting there, wanting to know, they're burning holes in your pockets, that's the imagery that I'm trying to allude to. But it was a good question, Bacon. It was absolutely a good question. Fidgeting with your Zippo. I like that. What does that mean, Ron? I like that a lot. Fidgeting with your Zippo. Well, as Ron's getting us an explanation for that, let me tell you guys, amaze me every week. I put a poll. Well, I know it's a Zippo lighter. But you guys amaze me every week. I put up a poll every week for who you guys think is going to win a battle. Actually, it's not just a single battle, it's who's going to win the most battles out of 100 battles. And for 2 weeks in a row now, we're sitting at 50-50. People don't know the difference between etymology and entomology. It bugs me in a way I don't have word. I love what you did there, Bacon. I love it. I love it. Zippo is based in Bradford, PA, which is where my wife's father was from. Nice, Jim. Hey, you haven't said anything since a while ago. Welcome back to the show. Kevin, it bugs her and she doesn't have the words for it. I like it. But as an anthropologist, I happen to know the difference between etymology and entomology and other things. It was a tasty turn of words. It's not who we think would wind, but who we want to win. Oh, it's not who we think would wind, but who we want to win. And wind and wind are spelled the same way. As in, you're winding something up. Now, wine, W-I-N-E, is something that you drink. And wine, W-H-I-N-E, is something that you do. So quit winding yourself up with wine and quit whining about wind. Yeah. Get me into literary mode. But yes, it's a 50-50 week again. There was only 8 votes in the poll. Obviously, 4 for, well, let's go to it. Our deadly dungeon for the week is Beethoven versus Mozart. And you guys profoundly wanted Beethoven and Mozart to be equals. However, the results of the simulation, Beethoven 55% versus Mozart at 45% of the time. So, with that being said, let's see how the 100 battles went. Mozart. Let's start with Mozart. We know he was a prodigy of the classical era, famed for effortless virtuosity and crowd-winning charisma. He was physically frail, but mentally acute, and he channels emotions into precise musical strikes. Weapons and gear, he used the ivory finished grand piano, the Silverando edition, that projects the crystalline treble volleys, the magic flute for sonic charms that distract and enthrall, and the quill algorithm scribe, an on-the-fly improvisation generator. He used lightning-fast arpeggio storms causing microfractures in armor, using the rondo riptide. The symphony of spontaneity was improvisational bursts that override preset defenses. And then audio enchantment, sonic shockwaves fueled by spectator adulation. And then we get to Beethoven, a titan of the transition to romanticism, renowned for raw passion and defiant spirit. His deafness grants immunity to auditory debuffs and heightens vibration senses. His weapons and gear, a grand piano he calls the Iron Hammer, unleashing thunderous bass harmonics. A conductor's baton that channels bone-shaking crescendos, and dragon-sized metronome for seismic tempo controls. After chopsticks, everyone learns Für Elise on piano, Beethoven for the win. Will he avoid finishing his symphony to avoid that loss? Possibly. Did I forget to vote? I guess I couldn't decide. I prefer Beethoven, but Mozart's a kid prodigy. Well, if you forgot to vote, there's still time. Like, it'll be, the poll closes as soon as this gets over, but maybe we take another vote, because Beethoven's ability and traits, his Fifth Symphony Shockwave, area-wide concussive blasts, that's an area attack, an AoE, or an AoA. Anyway, the pathetique pulse, a low-frequency rumble that topples foes, and battle resolve, his deafness blocks all sonic illusions. Mozart's strategy to weave hypnotic rondo riptides at range, deploy the flute sonic charms, draw energy from the audience. Beethoven's strategy, he opens with the Fifth Symphony shockwaves, uses the pulse to knock treacherous drones and illusion clones offline, and leverage the battle resolve to ignore Mozart's mental misdirections and pass relentless piano assaults. Ultimately, Beethoven's deft forged resilience and seismic symphonies give him the narrow majority of victories because he's immune to sonic illusions, and that's all that Mozart is using. Mozart's lightning improvisation and audience-driven enchantment secure numerous surprise upsets. Yeah, could. And in this piano duel, raw power edges subtle genius, but every note can tip the balance. So at 55 to 45%, it could have gone either way. With the Rondo Riptide, the illusions could have also been a visual distraction kind of thing and sent Beethoven into epileptic seizures if he had epileptic seizures. But yeah. So that is what we got. And we all know that we don't go by what the simulation uses as the winner. We go by what you guys voted in the polls for the winner. And since you guys voted 50-50, and Kevin already admitted that he forgot to vote, do we want to push and the poll for Bardic Inspiration has closed? What? I don't even know. Oh, Bardic Inspiration Battle has closed. And apparently, with 9 votes, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart has won 56 to 44%. So that will move Mozart, and I will change this for next week. That will move Mozart on to the third round. We are on the second round of battles, though I still have to build and design the character of the Green Ranger using Bender as his Dragon Sword to go against Ultron. So that'll be fun. But this week, and since we already had as a Toth last week, and I got to change that. I got to re-edit that because it's Azathoth as a Thoth. Last week, I decided it's been a while since we've had crocodiles. It's been a while since we talked about them. So next week, it will be the IRA versus the crocodilians. Now, this will be a group battle. It won't be a one-on-one battle because in a one-on-one battle, we know who wins. It's going to be 50-50. I can already tell you that because if the crocodile gets a surprise attack on the one IRA guy, he does the crocodile roll and the guy's dead. So, and I just thought of something. We're missing a great opportunity here. We're taking the IRA and versus the crocodile this week, but we're missing a great opportunity because who else could battle a crocodile? Maybe Dundee? Maybe Mick Dundee? Someone snuck a final vote in. Who slipped in like air? It must be Kevin. Let's see. Elton John versus Billy Joel, the Piano Man. Ooh, Ron, that might be good for next season. Season 3 of Deadly Dungeon. Kirk says, I assume Tchaikovsky isn't in this because his overture canon would be too OP. You know, we could put Tchaikovsky in there. Who would go against Tchaikovsky? You tell me. You tell me. A maestro who could go against Tchaikovsky, and to it might have been, I don't know who would vote for, but if you could give me an argument for another musical artist who could go against Tchaikovsky, we'll throw Tchaikovsky in the next round. Well, not the next round of this one, but the next season of Deadly Dungeon. So, with that being said, we are now in Chat. Holy, we are at an hour and a half, people. I did not expect that. This has flown by. Wow, we are in Chat. So we like to end the show in Chat with good things of the week. I do have a good thing of the week because, well, I have a good thing for the week for other people. If Chaz views this, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe, won last weekend. And if they did, I wanted to congratulate the Jacksonville Jaguars on their win. Let's see. Yes, the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Houston Texans. The same team that Tampa Bay just beat 2 weeks ago. Well, on Monday Night Football. Last week. So, congratulations on the Jaguars. Jaguars are now 2-1 on the season. They've had 2 wins. Let's keep it up, Jags. Did we already do Bach and Chopin? We did Bach because it was Bach versus Beethoven, and Beethoven won. We could do Tchaikovsky over Chopin. I like that. Got halfway through rebuilding the ramp on the deck, and the hardtop awning was installed today. And I'm assuming that's on the trailer. But back to sports. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are on a roll. They're 2-1. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, surprisingly, are skating by but with the skin of their teeth. Oh, and we have a great team. But we beat the Jets last Sunday 27-29. I was not happy. I was happy until the Jets started catching up, and then Tampa Bay fell apart. but they got it back at the end. But this Sunday is going to be a hard-fought battle. It is here in Tampa. It is here at Raymond James Stadium. But it is against the Super Bowl winning champions, the current Super Bowl winning champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this is what I can say about that match. We have the Eagles' number, whether it's in regular season or if it's in the playoffs. Anytime Tampa Bay plays the Eagles, it's almost a win for Tampa Bay. It's almost always a win for Tampa Bay. Now, with that being said, I am not excited about this game on Sunday. Because as much as I want the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win, I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will come out victorious. And Philadelphia Eagles will be one of 5 teams that is going to be 4-0 on the season. Currently, there are 6 teams that are 4-0 on the seasons. You have Tampa Bay. You have the Bills. Well, I'm sorry, they're 3-0. You have the Bills. You have Tampa Bay. Let's see. You have the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, very good Colts, and that's a surprise. That's a surprising one. You have the Eagles. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's not looking too good. The Panthers and the Falcons. Steelers are not looking good. The Packers and the Browns don't look good. The Chargers are 3-0. And the San Francisco 49ers are 3-0. So those are your 6 that are 3-0. Some of those are surprising. The Chiefs, however, are 1-2. So if you're a Chiefs fan, you probably are pulling your hair out. The Lions and the Ravens, well, the Ravens are 1-2. So if you're a Baltimore fan, you're pulling your hair out. And if you're a Lions fan, 2-1, you're not doing too bad. Anyway. Harry Mancini versus Tchaikovsky, Peter Gunn, and March of the Elephants, Russian Cannons. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. 7 years ago, we realized just how bad Ruby's breast cancer was by the radiologist freaking out, and I'm still winning the Blink contest. Cool. Kirk's good thing of the week. He got some rain. Bad thing of the week. He now needs to mow the grass again. Well, get out there and mow the grass. Okay, Scott Joplin was a famous American composer. Then it would be Russia versus the U.S. I like that. I like that. Although instead of Joplin, Scott Joplin was 1868 to 1917. I like that. I like that a lot. What's the... That's it. Francis Scott Key. I like Francis Scott Key, too. George Gershwin. Who did all of the musical numbers and everything for Broadway and stuff? He was very, very famous composer for Broadway. I thought his name was George something. And not George Gershwin, because I know George Gershwin. Stephen Sondheim, Rogers and Hammerstein, Oscar Hammerstein II, Richard Rogers, Leonard Bernstein, Irving Berlin. That's a good one. So yeah, there's a few that we could do. Let's see. You want to know who 1840 to 1893. So William Bennings, considered the first American choral composer, and Francis Hopkinson, an early American composer, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. That'd be your two closest ones. William Bennings, 1746 to 1800. Francis Hopkins, 1737 to 1791. So, there you go. They didn't live around the same time as Tchaikovsky, but they're close. No, I will not be right back. Why am I being right back? Let's go to live. Maybe because I hit some buttons. So, with that being said, I am glad that everybody was able to come out tonight and join us on this adventure. And with that, we're going to... Oh, wait. No, we're not. Jim, today I learned a composer signed the Declaration of Independence. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But with that being said, we're going to go here. We're going to do our outro. And we want everybody to like and share this live out. The video will be posted as soon as it ends here. I don't edit anything. It's straight up. You all know that. And if you guys have any questions on topic-ish, you know our topics are D&D based stuff, please send your questions to roguebardadvice@gmail.com. It's like Bard Advice, like Bard Dadvice, but we've gone rogue. So, with that being said, I am your host. I am the Pirate Archaeologist. I am the Rogue Thief Pirate Archaeologist. I am Pirate. I am Chris. Whatever you know me as. It has been my pleasure to run this show with you guys this evening. And we will see you guys next week. Same time. Same Rogue channel. And with that, take what you want. Give nothing back. I will see you guys.